Maria's hands trembled as she clutched the crumpled $5 bill in her palm. It was all she had left until payday 5 days away. A nurse working double shifts at the city hospital, she had been stretched thin both financially and emotionally. The rent had swallowed most of her paycheck, her little brother's school fees had eaten the rest. And now, she was down to the last bill she'd saved from the pocket of her scrubs. And yet, she stood inside the cozy glow of a café, staring at the menu board as if she were rich. A mocha was $4.75. She could still leave with a few coins jingling in her pocket. It wasn't practical, wasn't smart. But Maria hadn't treated herself to anything in months, and today she needed it. She told herself she deserved this one small comfort. Sliding the money across the counter, she whispered, "A small mocha, please." As the barista handed her the cup, Maria exhaled, the sweet scent of chocolate and coffee wrapping around her like a blanket. For a moment, she almost forgot the exhaustion and the weight pressing on her shoulders. She didn't know that the choice she made that evening to spend her last $5 here was about to change her life forever. She glanced at her watch nervously. She had agreed to meet a man from a dating app. His name was Daniel. He had been kind in his messages, a little shy even, which made her trust him more. Maria wasn't looking for a fairy tale, she didn't believe in them anymore. She just wanted companionship. Someone who could see beyond her tired eyes and stained scrubs. When Daniel walked in, she almost didn't recognize him. He was in tea, wearing a suit or carrying the air of arrogance she'd seen in other men. He wore a simple sweater, jeans, and a warm smile. He scanned the room, his gaze landing on her. For a brief second, Maria thought he'd walk past. She wasn't the kind of woman who usually drew attention. But then he walked straight to her table. "Maria?" he asked, his voice gentle. She nodded, rising to shake his hand.
"Daniel, hi." They sat, and to her surprise, the conversation flowed easily.
He asked her about her work, and she admitted the struggles of being a nurse: long hours, emotional toll, little pay. She told him about her younger brother, who she was raising alone after their parents passed away. Daniel listened intently, not with pity, but with genuine respect. "You must be stronger than you think," he said softly. Maria laughed weakly, or just too stubborn to give up. What she didn't know was that Daniel was no ordinary man. He was the CEO of the very cafe they were sitting in, though no one would have guessed it from the way he blended into the crowd. He had built the business from scratch, after years of hardship, and though he was wealthy now, he longed for someone who would see him, not his bank account. That was why he never mentioned his position on dates. Hours slipped by as they talked. Maria, for the first time in years, forgot about her problems. She even laughed a sound Daniel found himself wanting to hear again and again. When she confessed about spending her last $5 on the mocha, embarrassed by her own honesty, Daniel didn't flinch. "You spent your last $5 on this?" he asked gently. Maria blushed, staring down at her cup. It was foolish. Should have saved it, but I just wanted to feel normal, to enjoy something small. Daniel's heart ached. He admired her more than ever, not for her sacrifice, but for her courage to admit vulnerability. The evening ended with a soft handshake, Maria convinced she'd never see him again. Men didn't usually stick around when they realized she had nothing to offer but love and loyalty. Still, she went home with a strange warmth in her chest. The next morning, Maria dragged herself to work. The hospital was chaos, as usual, patients flooding in, short staff, and endless paperwork. By lunchtime, she hadn't eaten, her stomach growling as she dug in her bag only to find nothing. She'd used her last money. But then, a nurse tapped her shoulder. "Maria, someone left this for you at the front desk." It was a paper bag with a hot meal inside and a note. "For the strongest nurse I know, D." Her eyes stung with tears. "Daniel." For the next week, he kept showing up, sometimes in small ways, like sending food, sometimes just waiting outside the hospital to walk her home. Slowly, Maria realized he wasn't just being kind out of pity. He genuinely liked her. But she still didn't know the truth. One evening, he finally invited her back to the cafe after hours. The place was quiet, candles glowing softly on the tables. "Maria," he said, his tone more serious than ever, "I have to tell you something." Her heart sank. She braced herself for rejection, for him to say he couldn't handle her baggage. But instead, he confessed, "I own this cafe. In fact, I built the entire chain. I'm not just Daniel from the Apime Daniel Hayes, CEO of Hayes Coffee." Maria stared at him, stunned. "You? What?" He chuckled nervously. "I didn't tell you earlier because I wanted you to know me for who I am, not for what I have. But the truth is, Maria, might that $5 mocha you bought with your last money in this cafe, it brought you to me. I don't ever want to lose you." Her lips parted, tears brimming in her eyes. For so long she had been invisible, fighting battles no one saw. Now here was a man who not only saw her but cherished her. "Daniel, I don't have anything to give you. No money, no status, just me," she whispered. He reached for her hand. "That's all I've ever wanted." From that night on, Maria's life began to change. Daniel didn't sweep her away into luxury overnight. He respected her independence. But he stood beside her, supporting her, loving her, reminding her that she was worthy of happiness. And slowly, Maria realized the truth. Sometimes, the smallest choices, like spending your last $5 on a drink can, lead you to the greatest blessings. By the time their wedding day came, Maria walked down the aisle not as a poor, exhausted nurse, but as a woman who had been seen, loved, and chosen for her heart. And Daniel, he never forgot the lesson Maria had taught him, that true love, is en ti bâtit, found in the quiet courage of ordinary souls who keep going, even when they have nothing left.